Stone fruit is back with a vengeance this month here, and learn about all the other different fruits and that you should be buying during the month of May in this month's Fruit Picks episode.
You're listening to Eat, Shop, Waste Not. Let us teach you how to source the most delicious groceries without wasting food or a single penny. Here's your host, Eric Samuelson.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the first day of May. So that means it's time for another episode of our best fruit to buy, looking at the month of May. And oh, is this an exciting month for fruits? And the big reason for that is stone fruit is back. We're going to have cherries again, yellow peaches, yellow nectarines, white peaches, white nectarines, apricots, plums. All these things are heading back to your local grocery stores, and they're not flown from South America and are absolutely terrible. I just do not like when we see the stone fruit during any winter time here because it's never any good. So excited to have it back. But we got to calm the excitement just a little bit because there's some things and pitfalls we have to watch out for this month. So let's start with peaches. The first peaches are coming out this month. They usually come out of California slightly first, and then we start seeing some southern peaches, depending on where you are in the country. If you're more out west, you're probably not going to see the southern ones. But if you're more in the east or definitely in the south, you're going to see those for sure. So usually the first early varieties are only have the characteristic of being early. They don't tend to be the most sweet or flavorful. I've occasionally had some luck where I've had some better ones, but most of the time it's not that great here. So I pump the brakes a little bit here, not try to purchase too many. This early time of year, I tend to look for more of the white peaches or the white nectarines because they tend to be a little bit better than the other ones right now. One thing you definitely want to look for, especially the early season fruits or any peaches and nectarines, is look for those sugar spots. So sugar spots are these little white spots that kind of collect on the outside of the fruit. This is actually sugar itself, the natural fruit sugars that are crystallizing on the outside. So when you see these, you know you're going to get a sweet piece of fruit that will have at least have that sweet flavor to it here. So that's what I kind of look out for. I think there's going to be better flavorful ones coming up next month. But early on, I miss them. I still want to try them. So I look for those sugar spots. I look for the white flesh things in the beginning. Next up, let's talk about cherries. So the first cherry varieties come out of California, and they don't tend to be that great early on. I've occasionally had some ones that were decent. Problem is the prices are sky high at the beginning. The first cherries that come out can be like really expensive. I've seen like $7, $8, $9 a pound, and they're really not just really worth it at that point. But towards the end of May, the prices will start trickling down, especially when we get into the California big cherry season. So big cherries are probably the most widely grown cherry there is. And in this case, actually a good cherry. It's actually pretty good in its crispness and flavor and kind of sweet tart kind of balancing going on here. So those are actually one of the few cases where the most grown thing actually is probably one of the really good quality varieties. So it's hard to say though in the stores exactly when those come in because typically you don't see them marked at all. So you're not going to say, oh, there's big cherries in. Usually you can tell kind of actually when prices start going down and the amount goes up because they're widely grown. So you're going to see more of that. So it's supply and demand situation. So towards the end of May is when I would start really kind of considering cherries. You see some kind of deal beforehand. You will see some Rainier cherries kind of showing up. The early ones really aren't as good either. You want to get ones that have a little more of that red blush on them. But that's something you can look out for towards the end of the month. So unlike cherries and peaches, I actually find that the early store-bought apricots are actually better than the ones you see later in the year in the store. They're usually smaller in size, usually have better flavor. Like I do not like grocery store apricots that are like ginormous, like jumbo apricots. they are rarely ever any good. They're usually kind of mealy and just not great. So I would more stick to the smaller size ones. And those I would, try out in the beginning here because you can find some decent store-bought ones in the early part of the year. Still nothing beats it when you get some fresh in the farmer's market. If you live in an area that grows apricots, there's a whole lot of places that do. When I was in Michigan, you can occasionally get them here, but they have a big issue with them blooming early and losing them due to frost. So apricots weren't a consistent thing to see there. Utah is actually a really good place for apricots. They don't seem to have those freezes that end up destroying the crop. Utah's been a great place to find apricots, but you're not going to find those out until we get into like July. So right now you're kind of just depending on what you're getting in from California from the grocery store. Usually I completely avoid plums this month. A lot of them are, the stores are still going to be what you're going to get from South America. And they're just not really good. So in May, I really kind of just not really go for them. I try to wait for June when you start seeing actually the pluots or plum cots that are like part plum, part apricot. I tend to wait for those. I think those are better. So plums I've kind of just passed by for the moment here. Look at some other fruit now. Apples. So this month, we'll start seeing apples that were harvested in New Zealand, shipped over here. It really depends on the year in the store too. Like some places do more of them, some you don't really see them. One of my favorites though is, if you can find it, is the lemonade apple. I started seeing them actually grown from Washington. Originally, they only saw them from New Zealand, so I was trying to see more of those now. They're a yellow apple with a nice sweet tart flavor. I don't think they really taste like lemonade per se. It's just that the color and the kind of sweet tart that they have going on. And they're juicy. They're one I would look for. Haven't really had the Washington ones this time of year. But if you see any New Zealand apple, they're going to be fresher, of course, because they're in the midst of their apple harvest now, because our spring is their fall. So if you see some New Zealand grown apples, I would say give those a try because they're going to be fresher than what you get. So you'll see those this month. In terms of apples you want to buy from that are grown more locally, more in the United States. So the more crisp ones are going to be Evercrisp, Wild Twist, and Cosmic Crisp are the three that I think are going to be the most reliable right now as we're getting further away from our own apple season here. That they were harvested, but those ones seem to hold up the best, especially Evercrisp. Evercrisp lives up to its name. It's more of a sweet apple here, so if you don't like your apples just to be straight up sweet, you probably want to pass on that one. Maybe try Wild Twist, that has a little more tartness to it. Grape-wise, we start seeing cotton candy grapes from Mexico in stores this month. I'm excited to see those. Again, getting a little closer to the U.S. here, so we're seeing those. Blueberries, so we start seeing more blueberries grown in the U.S. come to stores. And Georgia blueberries come this month. And I think they are some of the best that we have. I still prefer my Michigan blueberries. I think they are the best in the world. Of course, I'm biased, a little biased with that, but Georgia blueberries are, they've been doing a great job in recent years. You usually get bigger packs of them, but you can at a better price during this month. There's kind of it's the largest volume of blueberries I think we see domestically in this early time of year. So definitely watch for those. And then lastly, citrus wise, kind of getting, we're getting at the end now. So you're kind of this what's ever left type of situation now. Harvest is really kind of done now. The two things I kind of look out for still when I'm buying stuff is the Golden Nugget mandarins and the Ojai Pixie tangerines. Those are two of the best ones you're going to find right now. So I would look for those by name because those are both really good. The Pixies are one of my favorites. So nice sweet flavor. So if you can find those, that would be great for you to grab. So guys, I hope I helped you pick out some of the best fruit this month. I know it's getting kind of into more of the exciting fruit time. Next month is, for me, a lot of places, is when you pick strawberries come out. And we've seen some of those if you're more in a southern state now. So that's a good time to go out there and do that. Look for your local type berries coming out. And so we're heading more into the exciting fruit time here. So I'm excited to be enjoying some more varieties of fruit. So thank you guys for listening to today's episode. If you're not already, make sure to sign up for our seasonal fruit email list so you can get all the lowdown on what's best eaten throughout the entire month and all the different months of the year. So thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. To get the show notes from this episode, visit our blog at eatlikenoone.com and click on Podcast in the main menu. Or click the link provided on whatever platform you're listening on. Make sure to hit subscribe and join us next time for more Eat, Shop, Waste Not.